Some people pursue opportunities, get really excited by them, and then when those opportunities fall through, as many of them do, they get really disappointed. And this creates a lot of negative energy that then demotivates them and slows them down a lot in the long run. I've spent the past 2 months at a program with Entrepreneur First, and this is a program with a VC fund. It's an accelerator, right? And so some people move on from the program and some people don't. The decision day for a lot of people has come around. Some made it and some didn't. And I'll hopefully be getting my decision soon as well. But I've noticed something. Obviously, a lot of people have felt really down about things. I saw this in actually a pretty close friend of mine as well. If things go well or things don't, affects them a lot. And this reduces their power immensely in terms of like, it's a funny self-fulfilling thing, which is when you don't need an opportunity, it tends to be much easier to get them because the negotiation power that you bring to the table is of a much bigger weight. And this comes from like a few things. Number one, I think is bringing like expectations down. One thing I've learned the hard way with the agency is like a deal is not a deal until the cash is in the bank, right? Like until the client pays, you cannot count on that money. And this is kind of beaten into you by the bootstrap world because basically people say they're going to do shit all the time. Like talk is cheap. And you really learn that when you start to do sales because people will say they've got deals for you. Then they ghost you in the last minute, right? Because when push comes to shove, like people who actually want to put their credit cards on the line are not, not the same ones that talk about it. It's a much smaller group, right? I started to build myself that pessimism. Like emotion is created in the difference between expectation and reality, right? If you expect things to be here and reality is here, you create a sad emotion, right? Like there is a negative emotion there. Whereas if you expect this and reality is this, then there's a positive emotion, right? And so most people who feel disappointed by things, it's basically because they have a certain expectation. That expectation was not met, and that drives a certain sadness. And that negative or positive energy in turn then feeds back into you, right? Or it doesn't, right? There's two solutions to how to deal with that. You don't want to be constantly getting like negatively demotivated because things don't work out the way you want them to. Number one is you become a really unemotional person. But I don't think this is a great solution, especially in the long run, because like as humans, we're emotional people. It's our natural tendency to be emotional. And also, when you tap into emotion, you can tap into a lot more other people as well. And that's a really important and powerful thing. And so that's like option one. Option two is that you just bring expectations down all the time. And that means that reality will never be below your expectations because you've brought your expectations lower. And when that happens, you've now created a situation in which you will no longer experience those negative emotions of disappointment and that kind of sadness because your expectation for reality was always like as low as it possibly could be. And that's one component. But if you do too much of that, you end up becoming too much of a pessimist and you don't believe that you can do anything because your expectations are always really low, right? And so whenever you have an opportunity, you're like, oh, I'm going to fail this thing as well. And that becomes self-fulfilling. So we don't want to do that. And it's this like fine line that you have to walk because you also have to have the utmost confidence that you will in the end succeed. And so it's like this long run extreme optimism. And that I think comes from an ability to figure things out. How it works for me is like, if I identify something that I want, I will not stop until I either get that thing or I change my desire. I will not have a desire that I have not achieved, basically. Either I learn that desire is too inconvenient to get and I actually do not want that thing, or I will keep going after it. I feel like I've been able to adopt that mentality relatively well. And there have been two, I think, major contributors to that. Number one is like, I'm ridiculously stubborn. And I think the biggest and most public piece of proof of that is this YouTube channel, especially for the context behind it, which is that I have tried to start a social media brand like 3 or 4 times, like personal brand. I got inconsistent, embarrassed, all the above. And I like started and stopped and started and took it all down. And so like none of those attempts are public, but then I got really frustrated and because I'm stubborn, I was like, okay, screw this. I'll do a video every single day. And that was the birth of this entire YouTube like channel as it is today, which is a video every single day, regardless of how bad that might be. That was kind of one piece. And so that makes me very, very stubborn. When I want something, I will not give up on that thing until I either do not want it or have it. And then the other thing is also just like being okay with having relatively little means that I operate from this place of like, I know that I'll get it eventually. I'm okay without having it in the meantime. I also will expect nothing out of the present opportunities that are given to me, but I also know that I won't stop and I will keep chasing that thing. I guess I also have this track record. So like, I don't really need to like look myself in the mirror and tell myself that I'm going to go after it. It's just been the status quo for the last like, pretty much a decade because I've been a stubborn child. I guess like 20 years, right? 21 years. Just like as long as I've been alive, I've been a very stubborn human. And that has meant that I live with an extreme sense of optimism in the long run because I know that as long as I want this, I will eventually end up there. But at the same time, I have learned to like lower those expectations. And so I see some other guys here at the castle basically operate from this place of like a lot of expectation about the opportunity. And that actually makes them weaker in any negotiation or anything like that. Because when you operate from this place of expecting nothing, but knowing that you'll get there, it almost creates a sense of like, they need me more than I need them. And if you operate from that place, that's the ultimate bargaining power that you can get. I don't know how to title this kind of video because it's really a little bit of a rant about a lot of different things, but I think it's a really useful thought. And I would hope that someday I may learn to say this in a much nicer way that makes sense to more people and that's like very eloquent and succinct. But for the time being, I don't have that. And so I will, I guess even for myself, it's a useful reflection to talk about, like make a note of. But yeah, I'd like to learn to articulate my ideas better. I'd like to get into essay writing. That's it for today. I've been stuck at about 12,700 subscribers. Actually, not just stuck, but I got past it. I was at 12,709, and then now I'm at 12,694. So I lost about like 10 or 15 people. I don't think anybody will watch, or very few people will watch this far in this particular video. But like, this is the part where I'm being stubborn. Like, I will just keep going at it. I will keep hammering at this stupid thing because I want to. Because it's my personal project. I want to have this thing of, my early 20s documented every day. I don't particularly care about the fact that the results are not coming through right now. I think it's just a test of patience, if anything. This is the moat, so to speak, which is like, this is the part where most other people quit, I suppose. I don't particularly care about that because I have my own other reasons for doing it. If it was just for subscribers, I probably would quit, to be fair. But it's not, and so that helps. I don't know. This is just one of those examples, which like, I think nobody will watch this, but I will do it anyway. And it's because I'm stubborn. I think stubbornness is overall a pretty good quality to have. It's just needed in equal measure to like self-awareness and like ability to know when not to be stubborn. And that part is the hard part. And I can't say that that I'm like perfect at that, but being stubborn can also be a complete pain in the ass, and you can make a lot of mistakes in your life if you're stubborn on the wrong things. So it's a hard balance, but I'll leave it at that for today.